Hello everyone, welcome to Mastermind. In this video, let us understand about Gram Panchayat Institutions. And most importantly, after this slide, let us understand about Zilla Panchayat. Let us understand about Zilla Panchayat. Now basically, let us understand about the Panchayat Raj institutions from the very basics, including the functioning of Zilla Panchayats and how the funds are allocated, etc. We'll be discussing. This will be important part of our general studies paper 2, and it will also help us in KPSC under rural development topic, Now, what is the importance of Panchayat Raj institutions or Gram Panchayats? See, let us take this to be one country. Let us take, for example, this to be India. Now, let's imagine that there is ocean over here, that is, there is coast over here. And let us say that there are a lot of hills over here, mountains, hills. And there is desert in this particular place. There are lot of tribes who are residing in this particular area. So what I'm trying to say is, in a country like India, your geography itself, there is lot of variety. Now, why is geography important? Because on the basis of geography, there will be challenges in the society. For example, let us say in a remote place over here, water access itself is an issue. Access to water itself is an issue. In a place over here, the access to land itself is an issue. In a place over here, the access to ocean itself is an issue. In other words, if when the geography is so much varied, the problems are also very much varied. So what happens is, if there are people over here who are residing there since generations, in the sense, if there are locals, they will know their problems very well. Correct? So now, if there is an issue related to water, locals over here will be able to solve it better. Issues related to access to ocean, locals here will know what are the problems like and what are the demands. Similarly, it is for other problems. So in other words, we can say that not one policy can fit everyone. One policy cannot be fitting everyone as such, correct? One policy will not go with everyone as such. So if a central government on top decides that so and so policy has to be followed by everyone, it might not be acceptable for everyone who comes after that. And because of that, decentralization is a important phenomenon. Okay, what another thing decentralization does is, public opinion will matter more. Decentralization in the sense that from bottom to top there is a administration. So you see what exactly is the problem on the bottom level, then start resolving it to until the top level. That is the proper way of solving the problems, especially in India. So Panchayat Raj institutions itself is a system of rural local self-government. What we said here, locals will be governing because they'll be knowing the problem. So it is called as local self-government. Local self-government in India. Okay, this local self-government itself is a management system who will manage all the local issues, all the local affairs, all the local issues they'll be managing. And the people who will manage that will also be elected locally. So the local people will elect the people who will manage the challenges in the local vicinity. Now this had constitutional status after 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992. Very, very important. Now this thing had come into place, but that has to be happening exactly according to the constitution. That is, it got constitutional status in 1992. That is by the sake of 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992. This was in order to build democracy at what is this bottom, that is grassroots level. Grassroots level democracy. Grassroots level democracy. Okay. In lot of KPSC exams, one factual question is asked, that is, when was the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act come into place? Had come into place. It came into place in 1992, that we all know. Okay, but when it came into force, the dates are very important. Here it is April 24, 1993. April 24, 1993. So this was for 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. In case of 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, in case of 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, it came into force. It came into force in June, on June 1st, 1993. June 1st, 1993. Now, if you look at salient features of 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendments Act, these amendment itself added two new parts in the Constitution. New parts itself were added in the Constitution. Now, part 9, it was titled as the Panchayats. Part 9 itself was titled as the Panchayats. There was another part which was added, which was part 9A. So part 9 is for Panchayats, part 9A is for municipalities. Okay, part 9 is for Panchayats, part 9A is for municipalities. In this, they made lot of changes, and there were a lot of conveniences. That is, they added basic units. For example, there was Gram Sabhas in villages, and then in case of municipalities, there were ward committees, and the system of government in Panchayats was a 3-tier system, and then seats also were allocated directly filled by direct elections according to Article 243. C subclause 2, and then there was reservation of seats for SCs, and there is reservation of seats for STs also, and also 1/3 of the seats were reserved for women. 1/3 seats were reserved for women. Then 1/3 office of chairpersons of at all the levels were reserved for women according to 243D. So all these changes were what? These are some of the salient features of the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. But in order to understand what exactly are these Gram Panchayat institutions, we have to start from Zilla Panchayats. We have to start from Zilla Panchayats. So from Zilla Panchayats, we'll start to understand what exactly is this whole system, and also whatever is the additional information also we'll understand in this particular video. So in this video itself, we'll divide the whole video into different parts. First one will be the Zilla Panchayat itself. We'll discuss about what actually are Zilla Panchayat. Second one is we'll look at the composition of Zilla Panchayats. Composition of Zilla Panchayats. And then we'll look at the role of Adhyaksha. The role of Adhyaksha in case of Zilla Panchayat. Adhyaksha and upadhyaksha. After that, we'll look at the functions of Zilla Panchayat. Functions of Zilla Panchayat. And most importantly, at last, we'll look at the funds flow to Zilla Panchayat. So this portion will be very important for us. Other portions will also be very important, but usually this portion will also be very important because there are different type of funds in this. So if you understand the overall working of Zilla Panchayat, then it will be easier for you to understand about Taluk Panchayat also, and also about Gram Panchayat. Now let's start from the very basics. When it comes to Panchayat Raj institutions, there are 3 levels. First one is you have Gram Panchayat. First one is you have Gram Panchayat at village level. Gram Panchayat at village level. Next one, you have Taluk Panchayat. You have Taluk Panchayat. And this is at intermediate level. This is at intermediate level. And at the district level, you have Zilla Panchayat. At district level, you have Zilla Panchayat. So we'll be discussing about district. Okay. And in case of district, you might have heard about district magistrate or deputy commissioner. they will be CEO of Zilla Panchayat. So they are CEO of Zilla Panchayat. In case of Karnataka, this Zilla Panchayat has been constituted under Karnataka Panchayati Raj Act of 1993. So Zilla Panchayat is a body corporate and is assigned a legal status as well. Now, what is the main purpose of Zilla Panchayat? So if you have to look at the main purpose of Zilla Panchayat, then you can divide it into two parts. One is whatever we have developmental schemes, whatever government's developmental schemes are there, that has to be executed by Zilla Panchayat. Whatever developmental schemes are there, that has to be executed by Zilla Panchayat. And the second one is providing civic functions, providing civic functions in rural areas, providing civic functions in rural areas. Now let us move on to the composition of Zilla Panchayat. So till here I guess it is clear for you. Developmental schemes, implementation of developmental schemes, and providing civic functions in rural areas are two most important executions which Zilla Panchayat undertakes. Now composition of Zilla Panchayat. Composition of Zilla Panchayat. Now what does Zilla mean? It is a district, right? We looked at Zilla Panchayat at district level. So you have to remember MLAs and MPs, and if that state has MLCs, so from who are elected from that particular region. Okay, that you have to remember. Now let us start with the composition. So the first point which you have to remember when it comes to composition is the elected members are determined under section 160 of the act. Section 160 of the act. Now the members of the House of People or Lok Sabha, the members of House of People or Lok Sabha, and state legislative assemblies, members of state legislative assemblies who are representing that part or whole of district, that part or whole of district are members of Zilla Panchayat. Okay, so the members of House of People or Lok Sabha and members of state legislative assembly who are representing either a part of that particular district or whole of that particular district, and whose constituencies lie in that district, within that district, they are the member of this Zilla Panchayat. Along with that, the members of Council of States, that is Rajya Sabha, the member of Council of States, one second, okay, so the members of Council of States are Rajya Sabha, and members of state legislative councils. If that state has a legislative councils, then that state legislative councils who are registered as electors, within that district are also members of this. Then lastly, you have Adhyakshas of Taluk Panchayat. You have Adhyakshas of Taluk Panchayat. So different taluks which exist in that particular district. So the Adhyakshas of those Taluk Panchayats in that particular districts are also members of the Zilla Panchayat. So I hope the composition part is very clear. So whoever is the people's representative, maybe from Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, Legislative Assembly or Legislative Council, or from Taluk Panchayats. So the Adhyakshas of Taluk Panchayats, they are to be the members of the Zilla Panchayat as well. Now the whole Zilla Panchayat is headed by CEO. The whole Zilla Panchayat is headed by CEO. They head the administrative setup of Zilla Panchayat. Now usually CEO is a IAS officer under civil servant under IAS or state administrative service cadre. State administrative service cadres officer is nominated by the government. You have to remember that they are nominated by the government. They are nominated by the government. Now when it comes to CEO also, there are functions of CEO which you have to remember. There are functions of CEO which you have to remember. So whatever the act has described, the CEO will have the execution powers from time to time that will be conferred upon him. So whatever is the powers of chief executive officer which is mentioned under the act or by any law from time to time is in force, that is exercised by chief executive officer. Next, they control the offices and officers. They control the offices and officers who are holding office under the Zilla Panchayat. Then they undertake the supervision and control of all works, all works which happens via Zilla Panchayat. They also take necessary steps to enhance those works, that is speedy execution of the work. Speedy execution of that particular work is undertaken by them, and they draw and disburse the money out of the Zilla Panchayat fund as well, and exercise, they also exercise such powers and discharge such functions which they are prescribed from time to time. Most important part of this thing, most important part of this thing, they shall attend, they shall attend meeting of Zilla Panchayat. They shall attend meetings of the Zilla Panchayat. So they have right to attend the meeting of any committee which comes under this. They have right to attend meeting of any committee which comes under this. They can take part in the discussion. But most importantly, they do not have the right to move any resolution. Not resolution. I'll write it as not resolution, so it is properly written in the article itself. So they do not have any right to move resolution or to vote. They can neither vote nor pass any resolution. This is most important thing which you have to remember. Okay, then we'll be discussing about Adhyakshas. Then you'll be discussing about Adhyaksha. Adhyaksha is a executive head. Now when it comes to Adhyaksha, Adhyaksha is a executive head. Executive head of Zilla Panchayat. Executive head of Zilla Panchayat, and they preside the meetings of Zilla Panchayat. They conduct also, they convene also, and they preside over the meetings of Zilla Panchayat. They preside over meetings of Zilla Panchayat. Also, whatever power is conferred upon them under the act, they perform those functions. They exercise overall supervision over financial and executive administration of Zilla Panchayats, which is placed before the Zilla Panchayat. Most importantly, they have power to accord sanction of total sum of rupees up to 1 lakh. Total sum of rupees up to 1 lakh in a year for the purpose of providing immediate relief. For example, immediate relief in the sense, if there is a natural calamity, if there is natural calamities in the district, at that point of a time, to provide immediate relief, they have the power to sanction at up to rupees 1 lakh. Then under Upadhyaksha, under Adhyaksha, there is Upadhyaksha as well. So under Adhyaksha, there will be Upadhyaksha. Upadhyaksha. Upadhyaksha of Zilla Panchayat, they exercise the powers and perform the functions of Adhyaksha when Adhyaksha is absent. So on the similar lines, you can look at President and Vice President. So these exercise, but then the Vice President is the head of Rajya Sabha, etc., chairing person of Rajya Sabha, etc. Those things, we should not go into details of those things actually. So Upadhyaksha presides over the meetings when Adhyaksha is absent or on leave. Okay, or if they are functioning, if they are having any other important responsibilities to be undertaken, at that point of a time the meetings is presided by Upadhyaksha. When the office of Adhyaksha is vacant also, it is presided by Upadhyaksha. Now apart from CEO, Adhyaksha and Upadhyaksha, one more important person with respect to Zilla Panchayat you have to remember is CAO. CAO. Now what is CAO? CAO stands for Chief Accounts Officer. Chief Accounts Officer. So the Chief Accounts Officer, they prepare the budget of Zilla Panchayat for non-plan expenditure. This is very important. Non-plan expenditure. So when it comes to expenditure, we said that we'll be discussing about the expenditure as well. So but before we go to expenditure, we have to discuss about the functions now. So we'll go in the series only. Now We have discussed what actually are Zilla Panchayat. We saw the composition of Zilla Panchayat and the CEO, Adhyaksha, Upadhyaksha, and CAO also we introduced briefly. Now, what are the functions of Zilla Panchayat? They have to undertake developmental activities. They have to undertake developmental activities. For example, vocational and industrial schools, minor irrigation projects, village industries, sanitation, public health, etc. Also, if the state government needs any advices with respect to Gram Panchayats and Panchayat Samitis or Taluk Panchayats, at that point of a time, the advices to the state governments are also given by Zilla Panchayat. And they scrutinize the budget estimate. They scrutinize the budget estimate of Panchayat Samitis, and it functions through various standing committees. There are various standing committees. There are various standing committees who oversee and coordinate the common program. Okay, so who oversee and coordinate the common program of village under its jurisdiction. So when it comes to the funds which are allocated for Zilla Panchayat, we'll be discussing about that at this point of a time. So functions, you can remember it as developmental activities, and if the state government needs any advice with respect to Zilla Panchayat or Taluk Panchayat, and the scrutinization of the budget, and they function with the help of standing committees. They function with the help of standing committees. I hope till here it is very clear, and at last we'll move towards the fund flow in Zilla Panchayat. First thing which we have to know before we discuss about the fund flow in Zilla Panchayat is, from where does Zilla Panchayat get its funds? It gets the funds from consolidated fund of the state. Consolidated fund of the state and center. Consolidated fund of the state and center. And this fund is distributed, or the fund is flown into three different categories. One is planned funds. One is planned funds. The second one is non-planned funds. Planned funds. Second one is non-planned funds. And the last one is additional grants. Planned funds, non-planned funds, and additional grants. Now, in case of planned funds, what are planned funds? So, this is a fund which is received from state also and from center also. So we saw that the consolidated fund of state and center will provide the funds through different means. One is through planned means, non-planned means, and additional grants. Now, for various things, that is for planned funds, you have to remember that the funds are received from the state and center. The funds are received from both state and central government for execution of the developmental activities. Now here the planned funds, as the name itself is saying, with respect to developmental activities, it is for the creation of new infrastructure projects. New infrastructure projects. Also, the maintenance of infrastructure is undertaken with the help of these funds. And various central sponsored schemes such as MG Narega, etc. is undertaken under this planned funds. Okay, it is received from both center and the state. Now, for the welfare of scheduled caste tribes, the grants is also released through a separate program called as special component program. So special component program releases funds for the welfare of scheduled caste tribes, etc. Okay, scheduled caste and tribes grants. Okay, now the allocation of the fund itself is based on population, actual needs, and backwardness. Now the next one, it comes to non-planned funds. It comes to non-planned funds. As the name itself is saying, it is not planned. That is, it is already existing. That is, whatever is the committed expenditure. Whatever is the committed expenditure of different departments. Now, what is committed expenditure? You have to give salaries. If there is maintenance of infrastructure which is already created. Maintenance of infrastructure which is already created. So these funds are under non-planned funds. So these funds are exclusively released to Zilla Panchayats by state government. These are released by state government because it is for the salaries of the state government employees, right? So it is released by the state governments. So this is very important. Now the next one is additional grants. Now in case of additional grants, this is not mentioned in the budget itself of the Zilla Panchayat. So it is also known as extra budgetary or non-budgetary grants. Now this is in order to meet the emergency needs. For example, there is drinking water, if there is formation of roads, if there is a formation of roads at that particular point of a time, if there is formation of roads, or rural employment at drought, if there is a drought related, if there is a drought in the area, or if there is epidemic diseases in that particular area, for that particular point of a time you need rural employment for the control of that particular prone areas and the diseases, right? So for that additional grant is needed. So it is not mentioned in the budget because it is extra budgetary or non-budgetary grants. So these are some of the most important funds flow in case of Zilla Panchayats. So I hope you have understood about Zilla Panchayat. At the end of this e-paper, there are a few multiple choice questions for you to answer. You can attempt those. Thank you. I'll see you soon in the next one.